You don't start here. That's the part nobody believes, but it's true. You start as a transplant coordinator at a regional hospital in the Midwest. You wear a lanyard. You eat vending machine sandwiches at 2 a.m. You are the person who calls a grieving family in the hour after the worst news of their lives and asks them gently whether their son or daughter would have wanted to give someone else a chance. Most of them say yes. That still means something to you. For a long time, it means everything. You are good at this job. You understand the list, the UNOS database, the United Network for Organ Sharing database, tens of thousands of names stacked by blood type and compatibility, and how long they've been waiting. You understand that the list is not a line. It is a calculation. Sickest first. Closest match. Geographic proximity to the donor hospital. You explain this to families at night in hallways that smell like antiseptic and old coffee. You tell them the system is fair. You believe it. Then you meet a man named Gregor. He isn't a patient. He's sitting in the hospital cafe on a Thursday afternoon in a suit that costs more than your monthly salary, and he introduces himself as a medical consultant. He asks if you have 10 minutes. You sit down. He tells you about a 12-year-old girl in Sao Paulo. Stage 4 kidney failure. Both kidneys gone. She's been on dialysis for 3 years. Her father is a wealthy man. He has the money. He has the surgeons. He has everything except the one thing money is not supposed to be able to buy. A kidney. A compatible one. Typo negative. The girl is dying. He slides a card across the table. Just a phone number. He says, "Call me if you ever come across a compatible donor who doesn't make the list." You leave the card on the table. You walk back to your office. You don't think about it again for 6 weeks. Then a 31-year-old motorcyclist comes in. Brain dead on arrival. Typo negative. Perfect health. And you pull the list, and the closest compatible recipient is a 68-year-old man in declining health whose survival odds post-transplant are 40% at best. That's who the system says gets the kidney. That's the calculation. You think about the girl in Sao Paulo. You tell yourself you're just making a call. You tell yourself you're not agreeing to anything. You just want to ask a question. Gregor answers on the first ring. The kidney goes through official channels. The 68-year-old receives the other one. There's no crime in the procurement. No crime in the surgery. The girl lives. You receive $40,000 wired to an account Gregor set up for you in 3 days. You tell yourself it was one time. Gregor calls again in 4 months. Then again 6 weeks after that. By the end of the second year, you are no longer a transplant coordinator. You left the hospital quietly, citing burnout. You now work, officially, as an independent medical logistics consultant. Your actual job is this. You know who has organs, and you know who needs them, and you connect those two facts for people with enough money to afford the connection. You have a laptop, a phone registered to a shell company in Delaware, and a network of underpaid hospital staff in 7 countries who call you when something becomes available. You tell yourself the patients you serve would die otherwise. This is mostly true. The transplant list is brutal and slow, and people do die waiting for organs that a functioning market might have moved faster. You have read the literature. You know the arguments. You use them when you lie awake at 3 in the morning. What you don't say out loud is what happens at the other end of the supply chain. You don't source the organs yourself. You tell yourself this matters. You work with intermediaries, men like a contact you know only as Pavel, who operates out of Moldova and whose donors sign consent forms you have never read in a language you do not speak for payments you do not ask about. You tell yourself that by the time the organ reaches your network, your hands are clean. Then a surgeon in Istanbul sends you a photograph by accident. He means to send it to someone else. It is a photograph of a young man, maybe 20, lying on a table with fresh sutures across his abdomen. He is awake in the photograph. He is looking at the camera. His face is the face of someone who has just understood something he cannot undo. You delete the photograph. Your hands are shaking. You call Gregor. You tell him you need to talk about Pavel's supply chain. You tell him you have concerns about consent. Gregor is quiet for a long moment. Then he says very calmly that you have been processing approximately 4 transactions per month for the past 2 years, and that the documentation trail for all of them runs through a company with your name on the registration, and that the difference between you and Pavel is a question of geography and not much else. You don't say anything. He says he thought you understood how this worked. You keep working. You don't know what else to do. The machine runs on people like you, people who got in small, who told themselves the first step was different from the last one. You are not a monster. You have said this to yourself so many times, rationalizing every moral compromise, that the sentence has lost its shape. Somewhere on the transplant list tonight, there is a name, a real person, a father or a daughter or someone's kid brother, waiting for a call that may or may not come, moving up a queue that does not know you exist. And somewhere else, there is a young man you will never meet, staring at a ceiling, understanding the same thing you understood the night Gregor first sat across from you in that hospital cafe. That the moment you think you're just asking a question, you've already answered it.